Hi everybody, this is Jim West with Carolina Varsity. I want to talk about my old conference, the 2A Rocky River Conference. Back when I was in high school, back in the 80s, my high school, North Stanley, was a member of the Rocky River Conference. And back then there were 9 teams in the Rocky River. And of those 9 teams, only Mount Pleasant, Forest Hills, and West Stanley are still in that conference. Teams like North Stanley, Albemarle, and South Stanley are now in the 1A Yadkin Valley Conference. Charlotte Catholic is now in the 3A. They were in the 4A, but now they're in the 3A Southern, Southern Carolina Conference with the Union County schools, along with Piedmont and Parkwood. So both of those teams are in that 3A conference. So the Rocky River has changed quite a bit over the years. It started out as a 2A conference, then went to a 2A, 3A split conference, then back to a 2A conference. And then for a few years it was a 1A, 2A split conference, and now it's 2A again. Here's my take on it. Right now, I think the clear favorite is Mount Pleasant Tigers. I think it's a very good team. It's a well-coached team. They're a tough team. They're mentally tough. They don't make errors. It's a fun team to watch. Very fundamentally sound team, and I expect them to win the conference. They're probably their only team that really would circle for them would be East Montgomery. They do have a running back that's coming back that had, I believe, for over 2,700 yards last year. Yep, over 2,700 yards. And East Montgomery also is bringing a lot of their defense. Now, on the negative side, they had a coaching change, and also they're going from 1A to 2A. This is the first time they've been in 2A since the mid-'80s, I believe. I think it was 84 was last year they were 2A. So it's going to be a transition for East Montgomery. Number 3, I'm going with the Bearcats of Anson County. I think Anson, coached by Ralph Jackson, they're a physical team. They know how to play defense. It's going to be an interesting year for them. They had a really promising quarterback who was a freshman to start for them last year, and he'll be a sophomore. So this could be a really good year for him. Even as a sophomore, though, you expect your ups and downs. So be patient down in Wadesboro. But I think Anson's probably the third best team. But between 3, 4, and 5, there's really not much difference. So don't get offended if your team is ranked 5th in this or 4th or whatever, because it's really not that much difference. Right now, it's kind of a coin flip for me between Forest Hills and West Stanley. And right now, I'm still going with Forest Hills just by the slightest bit. I think they had a horrible season last year, worst season they've had in 45 years, and this is the first. This will be the second year for their new head coach. They went from Algie Fairclough and John Lowry holding down the fort for about 40 some years to a new coach. So there was a transition involved in that. And Forest Hills, they're still a tough team, so watch out. Number 5, I'm going with West Stanley. Coach Morton, good fella. He's another Stanley County boy like myself, and I think the world of him. I think he's a very fine coach, and he lost a lot of players off this team. A lot of them graduated, but they still have a lot of talent coming back. I think West Stanley could easily finish 3rd in this conference, and possibly finish 2nd. I don't know if they're it's out of the realm that they could beat East Montgomery, although I do think East Montgomery would be favored. And then last I have is Central Academy. They're just looking for enough warm bodies to play a game of football. They have depth issues down there. Probably the biggest thing that's probably a negative for them is they have to play Garinger the 4th week of the season. Garinger has lost 52 games in a row. The state's record for most games lost is 59 in a row, set by Northampton County, or not Northampton County, Gumbury in Northampton County back in the 1970s, broken in 1979. I think this record the Garinger has will be broken. They'll break the streak against Central Academy, so it's not a really good promising season for Central. Anyway, this is Jim West with Carolina Varsity, and thank you so much for listening to me.